That is the National Medal of Honor Museum, which is set to open to the public in Arlington, Texas today. It's a really beautiful effort to spotlight some of the nation's most decorated heroes. And over the weekend, former President George W. Bush attended a dedication ceremony along with more than 30 Medal of Honor recipients as they and their families got an early look at the exhibits. More than 3,500 people have earned America's highest military honor, but today I have the story of just 2 of those recipients, a story that has reopened old wounds and reignited a controversy. In the tiny town of Windsor Locks, Connecticut, the memory of Master Sergeant John Chapman is on display all over this proud community, where his sister Lori took us on a tour.
It speaks volumes, I think, about his character and what he meant to people in the town.
As one of the Air Force's most elite commandos, Chapman displayed such extraordinary heroism before dying in action in a 2002 battle in Afghanistan that President Trump posthumously awarded him the Medal of Honor. But Lori Longfritz and others inside the U.S. military believe the events on that very same mission so embarrassed the Navy SEALs that some have been trying to bury Chapman's story ever since.
If the SEALs had told the truth from the very beginning, we wouldn't be sitting here. None of this would happen.
What happened 23 years ago now on a snowy mountain ridge in Afghanistan was captured on this grainy drone video and recreated in an animation commissioned by the Air Force. Chapman, an Air Force Special Tactics combat controller, along with a team of Navy SEALs, stepped into the path of enemy fire. Without regard for his own safety, as Chapman's Medal of Honor citation later put it, the young father fearlessly charged an enemy bunker. After clearing it, he attacked a second one before being shot and wounded. Believing Chapman was dead, the SEAL team leader, Britt Slabinski, left him there.
I crawled over to John, crawled over the top of John looking for some sign of life from him, and I didn't get any, no movement, no sound or anything from him.
So we were initially told they landed on the mountain, they got off, John killed 2 people, and then he was killed. It was like he was just a footnote, basically.
So when did you begin to understand maybe there was more to the story?
It slowly started coming out. Things didn't make sense to me.
Sure enough, when the military analyzed the drone footage, it determined that Chapman wasn't dead. In fact, after Slabinski relocated the team to safer ground, and as reinforcements tried to land at dawn, a critically injured Chapman continued to fight relentlessly, providing crucial cover fire before being shot again and killed.
In this final act of supreme courage, John gave his life for his fellow warriors.
Chapman's is the Air Force's only Medal of Honor since Vietnam, and the first to rely on drone documentation as evidence. But almost immediately, inside the Pentagon, some resisted. 2 former defense officials involved in the process claim the SEALs argued against Chapman receiving the Medal of Honor, with one telling CBS News they couldn't accept any hint that SEALs had left behind a service member on the battlefield. It's a position Slabinski himself maintained, even as he received his own Medal of Honor for the same mission.
We left no one behind. No one, right? What I saw, what I experienced, I know that clearly.
For Longfritz, it all feels like a larger effort to diminish her brother's legacy.
I do believe that there is such a thing as fog of war. I wasn't on that mountain. I've never been shot at. I can't judge them for what they did on the mountain, what happened. I can judge them for how they've acted since then.
And she says it's happening again with the opening of the National Medal of Honor Museum, where the drone video plays on a wall near Chapman's picture as part of a larger exhibit on the history of the medal, while Britt Slabinski is getting his very own featured exhibit with multiple photos and even artifacts.
I think it's disgusting. Everything had calmed down after the Medal of Honor. Everybody was going about their business. I had found a way to just let it go. And then this. I didn't want this. But I'm not going anywhere now.
Neither is Florida Congresswoman and Air Force veteran Anna Paulina Luna.
It's a blatant disrespect for someone who lost their life serving this country, and that wrong needs to be corrected immediately.
What's going on here with first Zlobinski getting the Medal of Honor before Chapman, and now apparently the museum honoring Zlobinski in a bigger and different way than Chapman?
What I will tell you is, unfortunately, what I've observed is politics played a hand in this entire Medal of Honor debacle, because that's really what it is.
And to that point, she and others note Zlobinski is on the museum's board of directors.
If it happened the other way and Zlobinski saved John's life and he died, John would be the first one to say, do not honor me. This guy who died saving my life deserves it more than I do. I feel like if someone is a true hero and truly, they don't want it for themselves.
The museum declined an interview, but in a lengthy statement said no preference was given to board member Medal of Honor recipients, who specifically asked to be treated no differently in exhibit consideration than their peers. Noting the references to Chapman that are included, the museum says it's not possible to tell all of the more than 3,500 stories of Medal of Honor recipients in the exhibits, but that by word count, Chapman is among the top 25% of those included. For those in Chapman's corner, though, the number of words doesn't matter.
Ultimately, it's not about the museum and whether John has an exhibit or not. It's about just the lies. It needs to stop.
So much as what those words say.
If they do not do the right thing, I would also call to question anyone who's supporting this entire opening of this museum to reconsider giving funds to an organization that would play politics with people that have sacrificed their lives for this country.
So a lot of people have questions for Britt Zlobinski. We reached out to Zlobinski, whose wife also works at the museum, but we've not heard back from him. The Navy SEALs, we also reached out to them. They declined to address the allegations that they tried to stop Chapman's Medal of Honor in the first place, with a spokesperson saying the SEALs hold Chapman in the highest regard as a hero who made the ultimate sacrifice for his teammates. But guys, let me just bottom line this for people who are watching this. Lori doesn't want a monument to her brother. What she wants is for this pattern of diminishing his legacy and final acts to end, and for the Navy to recognize that he was alive, he did fight on, and that the Navy SEALs made a tragic miscalculation.
Question is it wrong to say, listen, we made a terrible mistake and I'm so sorry?
I think that would be the bigger thing to do at this
why
point.
not do it?
I have real questions. You know, I, like her, have never been in combat. Though they were wearing the flag, not me, and I have a lot of respect for that. But I have questions about how all these years later you would have so much recognition for the guy who made the decision to leave and less recognition for the guy who saved him.
I appreciate her speaking up for her brother, though. I totally understand that.
Yeah. So that's where we are.
Powerful story, Tony. Thank you. Really great.